North Idaho College proudly presents NIC Today, an informational news magazine that highlights the people, programs, and campus life at North Idaho College and the surrounding community. And now, your host and moderator, President of North Idaho College, Dr. Rick MacLennan.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to North Idaho College Today. I am not President Rick MacLennan. I am Mark Browning from the Communications and Marketing Office, and you will meet President MacLennan in just a few moments. We have a table full of guests today, as it is the start of the new college year. Every fall, we have new officers here on campus from a number of our constituent groups that help us in our participatory and shared governance here on campus, and that help make the programs and the people what they are here in your community college. I want to go around the table and introduce those folks to you, and the folks that you'll be learning about what they do on campus and the people that they represent. I want to start with Joe Jacoby, who is serving this year as the Vice Chair of the Faculty Assembly this year. Joe, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
On the other side, closest to Dr. MacLennan, you're going to see Teresa Henderson. Teresa is the Chair of the Staff Assembly, which is the group that we'll get into in just a moment about what you're doing.
All right, thanks.
And sandwiched in the middle is Josh Gittel, who is the Chair of the College Senate, which is a combination of the two groups, one on each side of you. So very symbolic of your position there today, Josh.
Yep. Plus the students.
Very good. And to my immediate right, I would like to introduce Sean Collins, who is the president of our Associated Students of North Idaho College, or ASNIC, as they are known on campus. Josh, thank you, or Sean, excuse me, thank you for being here. That's Josh across the way, if you want.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Very good. And our final guest and most important guest today is our new president here at North Idaho College, Dr. Rick MacLennan. And this is his television show that he'll be hosting from here on out. We're kind of just getting the car pushed out of the garage and on its way, and we'll be handing it off to you in just a moment.
Thank you.
So I want to go around the table and just have the folks at home understand a little bit about what each of these groups do here on campus, why they're important, and the folks that they represent, and how that process starts. So, Joe, you've been on campus here for a number of years. I want to start with you in the Faculty Assembly. You cannot have an institution of higher learning without engaged faculty. So tell us about the Faculty Assembly and the roles that they play in terms of the operation here.
Well, obviously throughout the year our biggest focus is how do we serve students and deliver the highest quality education that we can, and every year we're looking at ways to improve. As a group, we're looking at any issue that comes up. Particularly right now, we're looking probably mostly at policy changes because we've been in the process of updating our policy manual. So looking at making sure that those serve the needs of students first and foremost, and that we get the best policies we can.
How long have you been here at NIC, Joe?
Well, since dinosaurs were
Since
young
fall.
That's right. Since fall of 1999. So unlike you, I stuck with it.
Oh, got me right in the breadbasket. Tough. Let's move on. Joe, and your area of expertise, what you do here.
I'm the theater instructor, and I teach humanities as well.
So, you know, a lot of times in a community college, folks go, well, why? In fact, I had a student during the first week of class go, why do I have to take the humanities? Talk about how we approach education from the whole and the entirety of it all.
Well, liberal arts education originally comes from the concept of liberal meaning free. What does a free citizen need to have? What education does one need to have to participate in their community? And so the liberal arts education has to include arts, sciences, to create a well-rounded person for high-quality critical thinking and making contributions of quality to their communities. People assume that colleges graduate students. We graduate citizens who are active in our communities.
You have such a wide breadth of different types of programs here at the college, from humanities to general education instruction to career and technical, and so those faculty assembly meetings must be rather interesting with the different perspectives.
That's one of the most important things about them, in fact, is because there are so many diverse needs on the campus. It's critical that there are advocates for all of those needs, for all of those students. Sometimes people may assume that, you know, there are people, I don't know, if you're a teacher, you probably aren't as cognizant of this, but there are people who sometimes think that people who are in the technical programs aren't as smart You know, forgetting
Oh my
that there are so
goodness,
many
yeah.
different kinds of wisdom and so many different kinds of smart. I need a half a day to change the oil in my car. So I greatly appreciate the people with those mechanical skills, but their needs are different. And so having the advocacy for all of those different students is a critical component of running the campus well.
Joe, you talked about needs and different needs and advocacy. That's where we come to the staff assembly, because the needs of the staff are different than those of the faculty, but yet we're all engaged in the work of helping to prepare students and citizens, as I love that term, as they come through here. Teresa, your role with the staff assembly and exactly how staff assembly approaches their work.
Well, I would say the main part is to help the Senate, or to be involved in the Senate, because a lot of the people on staff assembly and on the executive committee are the senators. So Josh can talk more about that. But when we have our monthly staff assembly meetings, I would say the main point, or what our goal is, to make sure everybody can be involved and they know what's going on. They know what's going on with the policies and procedures and what's going through Senate. And then we have great discussions. We have guest speakers come, so that just to keep everybody involved and tied in.
You know, a college, even a college the size of North Idaho College, is such a complex organization. Communication is just so key. Do you find that the needs of staff in terms of communication, tell me how much goes on, because from what little bit I do understand about the staff assembly, there's a lot of effort that goes in making sure that everybody knows, or at least has an opportunity to understand what's happening on campus.
Well, yes. You always hope that the information does get out there. We try to get it out there, and we don't just pass them out the agenda. We give them the minutes. We give them the actual procedures and policies. We attach the documents to their meeting requests, and hope that everybody reads that and does become involved.
Josh, you're kind of in the middle of this, and a question that I often get out in the community is, well, you have a group for the staff and you have a group for the faculty. What's the Senate? Well, it is a combination of both, but how does it really does function in terms of a very important body when it comes to policy and governance. Tell us a little bit about the College Senate here at NIC.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, we do have the representation of both the faculty and the staff, and then another thing that I don't like to forget is the students. We have the student body that actually we have 3 senators that serve from the students as well, so that we get a wide variety of input on the policies and procedures that are coming before us. And really the main charge of the College Senate is that we're the voice of the participatory governance process for these 3 groups, is that all these different assemblies are supposed to be collaborating with their senators and bringing that to the table when we're discussing these policies and procedures, and then it's our united voice that we're bringing to the president, and then the president to the board of trustees.
As the trustees always have the final say in terms of that's their role is to provide that overall governance and checking that balance. So that brings me to you, Sean, and your role as the president of the Associated Students. How did you come to be at North Idaho College, and how did you get involved in student leadership and student government?
Well, how I originally found my way to the school was me and my friend Michael were sitting down for coffee one day. And we decided that we should go back to school. My job I was working at, kind of getting more into the professional side of my job, got moved, and I was like, I don't really want to work for this company anymore. So I decided to go back to school. I decided that 2 years ago, and ever since I plugged myself in originally to kind of what clubs were up to and a few other things like that. But I think I was sitting at the lunch table one time and my friends were talking about running for student government, so I decided to run. And then I became a senator last year, and I was vice president later after the president resigned. And then after that I decided that there was more work to be done, so I decided to run for president, and I've been doing that.
Your major platforms, goals that you have in mind of things you'd like to achieve during your time?
I have a few keystone things, you could say, but the most important thing for me is making sure student voice is represented at every level of the college. I think that's the #1 priority for me. This year we do want to start taking a look at the student fees. I have a meeting with Chris Martin and Graydon Stanley later in the year to talk about student fees with those guys. And then I also want to do some long-term planning of the student union building.
Very good.
It needs a look at it, kind of like some master planning of the building itself and what we want in that space and what we need.
Well, President, these are the voices that always now are in your ear, and these are the folks that are coming to you now as the new leader of the college and saying, okay, this is what we need. But before we get to that and kind of what your thoughts are, just give the folks at home a little bit of an indication who Rick MacLennan is and how he came to be here in Coeur d'Alene and North Idaho, and North Idaho College as our president.
Well, sure, that's a long story, Mark. But, I guess before I get to that, I just want to say thank you to the 4 people here who do represent the governance process. Maybe it's later in life, someplace that I've come to where decision making, and especially in a complex organization like a college or a university, a lot of times we think as leaders that we can see the way forward. And there are voices and sounds outside that are saying, well, maybe not that way, or maybe a different way, or maybe have you thought of this way? And I like to say that it's been a great epiphany in my own life to come to the point in my own leadership style. I use the phrase often that it's fun to share the burdensome yoke of leadership. That it really does take a collective, especially in a place like NIC, a collective voice. It doesn't mean that we're always going to agree with things, so there's going to be differences, but it's the virtue of our differences that make participatory governance so valuable. So I've had a chance to meet with all these folks. Joe, you and I haven't spent a lot of time together. Sean, we had some time over the summer to get together, and of course I've met with Teresa and Josh. This is an exceptional institution with the quality of leadership and the folks who have stepped up to do this work, because it's not easy. And you have your constituencies who want you to do things and say things that maybe are in conflict with other ideas that the path forward isn't always easy. So it really takes a commitment. It takes courage. It takes time. And so for all those of you out there watching this and those of you here at the table, I want you to know how much I genuinely appreciate that. It's good work that you're doing. About me. So last 6 years, I was president of Garrett College in as far west in Maryland as you can get, up in the mountains of Maryland, on a beautiful lake, Deep Creek Lake, a beautiful part of the country. We went to Maryland knowing that we would want to make our way home being the Northwest, at some point in the future. Made that decision last year when the NIC position came open, and I threw my hat in the ring, and I'm grateful and honored and humbled that I was selected to be in this position. I got my start. I really hadn't thought about this until lately. In the Army in Alaska, I had the opportunity to take some classes at a local community college, and I did, and then I put that on the shelf. Didn't do anything with it. Got out of the Army, went into the wholesale plumbing supply business, did some work in that industry for about 5 years or so. Had the opportunity to think about going to college again, thought I was too old at the old age of 25. Really,
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that, and even today people think that way. Was convinced by a close friend that I wasn't too old, and we went down to Portland State University, and I got enrolled, had the opportunity to apply for my veterans benefits in the office of the Vice President of Student Affairs. On my way out of that process, they invited me to join them as a veterans work study student. And so I had the unique perspective, from my mind, to be a major university in the office that was primarily responsible for creating those experiences that help students navigate their way through the university. And I had the unique perspective in that I was one of those people experiencing those services, and I was also somebody now tasked with trying to provide them. So from my perspective, the university got a pretty good deal when they hired me as a work study, because they got some good input into what was working and what wasn't. Not always desired feedback, but it was feedback nonetheless. But I made a decision at that point, and I had some very good mentors, that this was the career I wanted to embark on, that serving students in that way and trying to find the sort of the holy grail of how to get it right. So if a student has a goal in mind, what can we do as a college, as a unit, as an individual to help them get across the finish line, however they define what that finish line is. It's been almost 30 years now. It's been a lot of fun. I tell people I'm having more fun than I've ever had before. I'm here with my wife, Teresa. She just started as the executive director of the North Idaho Centennial Trail Foundation. So we're both getting very engaged and involved in the community, and couldn't be more thrilled to be here.
You have been extremely active in your first couple of months. You've been involved in a number of efforts already. So Rick, Teresa, welcome to the community. We're thrilled to have you. We have, I think, let's just brag. We have what we believe is the finest institution in the entire Northwest and one of the best in the country when it comes to doing the work that community colleges do. Rick, I want to draw upon your experience and loop our guests back in here in terms of how we go about that work and how we approach our work. And we've talked a lot about policy and what those policies do and how we work with shared governance. Joe hit on a very key point for me, which is we help our students become citizens. And the point that we're here, as you mentioned, for a student that has a goal, whatever the goal might be. And success for us is not always, and this runs a little counter to what a lot of folks in education say, but the goal may not always be a degree. It might just need a couple of classes to better one's position at an existing job. Maybe they're enjoying wholesale plumbing and they just want to get a little better at accounting. I don't know a lot who do, but I am thankful for those who do enjoy plumbing, because I do not enjoy it. But they're all, success is defined differently. From each of your perspectives, Sean, I want to start with you. You're the student. What will success mean for you at NIC?
Success for me would be the learning the material. I go to class, and my favorite thing at school is actually being in class. I think it's great how many wonderful faculty members we have on campus. I think they do a really good job. This semester, I happen to land in almost all of my courses. I'm getting new information every day, and I'm learning all sorts of new material, and I enjoy learning. And for me, success would be learning, getting my degree.
And your course of study is?
My course of study right now would be history.
Okay. And you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you want to teach?
Yes, I do want to teach.
Joe, what's that do for you when you hear of someone who wants to follow in the footsteps of the craft? Do they know how hard it is?
I don't know if they know, but if you have a passion for it, it's such important, valuable work that it's always encouraging to see somebody who is committed and passionate wanting to get into the field because it's for the right reasons.
It's a little like your job. If you really enjoy it, you don't know how hard you're working, because your job's a tough job.
It can be.
Yeah.
I tell people that I'm having more fun than I've ever had in my life right now. So,
the business of staffing and supporting these operations. I want to talk primarily to Josh and Teresa. When we're out in the community, a lot of times you go to the grocery store and people see you have an NIC Cardinal gear on, and they'll say, "Oh, do you teach?" And my standard response is, "No, I leave that to the qualified and intelligent people on campus. I just support them." And I mean that because it's a very tough skill. But for those of us who work in support, how do you approach that when you're not the one in front of the classroom? Sometimes you kind of get shuffled off, especially folks in the business office and HR. You're always behind the scenes. But how do you draw out those things that keep you going every day?
So for me, I mean, it's you just always have to realize that we're all part of the same team. We all have the same goals of trying to help students succeed. And I don't have a lot of daily interaction with students, but I get to be involved in little bits and pieces of things on campus, and it really makes that so much better for me. I work in the business office. I'm an accountant, and I get to oversee the financial side of certain grants that we bring in. And a lot of times these grants are starting up new programs on campus that haven't been here before. And just to see them create these programs from the ground up is really cool to see, and then hear the stories of the students that are going through these programs. That's really enjoyable for me, is just to hear about the successes and have my little part in it. And then I get to be involved with the employment side of things, and so sometimes I do get the students coming in my office, and I'm helping them with work study payroll checks, and so I get that little bit of interaction or seeing them in the halls, and I love the atmosphere of just the college environment, and there's just an energy about it, and we're all part of that same team, and I really enjoy it.
Teresa, from your perspective in HR, sometimes we just think of HR as always having to sort through all the squabbles between employees, but it's far more than that, I know.
So much more than that, Mark.
Good.
I don't know, it's great because I consider, I mean, it is human resources. We are the support for staff and faculty and everybody that's supporting the students, and we support the students. So it is nice. It's like we're all part of the team. I don't ever feel like it's just faculty and students. It's not. We're definitely involved and invested in, HR. We like to have fun, and we like to make sure that our employees have fun and get stuff out there, and I'm in. It's the whole I'm in campaign.
Oh, I love that. Remind me, I got to get you some extra bonus
Some
for
swag.
that. Joe, your eyes lit up just a moment. You had a comment.
Well, I think that one of the things about North Idaho College that makes it so special is the people here. Everybody, as Josh said, it's all on the same. We're all on the same team, and I think that's really. I don't know how unique it is, but I know it makes it really very special here, because everybody from the facilities management crews who help fix things on the building, to the custodial staff, to HR, to the business office, to the registrar's office, everybody has a stake in serving the students. And it's a very student-oriented campus. And so as a faculty member, you get to walk into a classroom that's ready to go, because we're all on the same team. And so this is a campus that doesn't lose sight of the contributions that everybody makes, and that we're all here for that student experience and to make it the best it can possibly be.
So Sean, the message that you take back to the students is there's an awful lot of people helping to make sure that everybody has a success here. And if you're a little bit tired, it's because we're all sucking the energy from you students. So that's where it's all going. That's why you're tired.
And I just want to say, on behalf of the students, we thank you for all the work you do. We know it's not just the teachers we see in the classroom. We know there's a million people behind that in order to make this entire operation work. And I think we all reap the benefits of all the hard work you guys do, and we really appreciate that.
This is the President's television show, and we'd like to have a little more conversation with the President, seeing as how it's your TV show. But Rick, you've been here roughly 60 days, give or take. They always say you have the first 90 to 100 days to kind of make your step and make your mark. What have you seen so far, and what do the next 30 to 40 days have for you?
Well, it's been a short time. I don't know how much of a mark I can make in 60 days. But what I have noticed, some of the things that you've already heard, what a dedicated staff. I had the opportunity to address some folks today at the Upbeat Breakfast for the Coeur d'Alene Chamber, and we had 3 or 4 tables filled with NIC administrators, faculty, staff there, and I had the opportunity to acknowledge them, and I used the word terrific. That these are some of the most terrific people I've ever come across in my journey in higher education. Deeply student-centered, that they're doing the Herculean work of changing lives. And I use the term broadly to define our mission as that we're in the business of creating hope and opportunity. And we do it every day, and it doesn't matter if you're on the facilities crew or if you're an accountant. Whatever your role is, if you're part of that team that sees that mission as priority, just to work to be circled by such a community that is in to the extent that it is. Because I'll tell you, we're at a watershed moment, I believe, in higher education and in our world. And Joe, I appreciated your comments on liberal education and what it really means, because it gets confused sometimes in the narrative about what we're doing in higher education. Is it pragmatic? Is it, you know, just to go learn? And I've always felt that that the liberal education and the practical education are two sides of the same coin. You really can't split them. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that you can. And we've got to do a good job at the whole aspect of creating citizens. But we're at a watershed because the world of work is changing. Society is shifting in terms of its bifurcation and its divergent thinking. The technology, communication, globalization, the bailing baby boomers that are exiting in mass numbers, and that's only going to increase. I've said this a couple times since I've come here. We don't have anybody to waste. We don't have one person in our region to waste. We've got to get to everybody we can that we can serve. We need to develop a one-to-one relationship with our community in terms of what it needs and what we have to offer. And the fact that we do it together with such an exceptional team, I couldn't be more pleased.
Well, we're thrilled that you're here, you and your wife Teresa, and what you're bringing to our community. It's a little selfish on our part, but we are very thrilled that you're here, and just what we've seen already and the contributions you both are making to our community is we just couldn't be happier. So welcome.
Well, thank you.
And here's a TV show for you.
Yeah, hey, thanks.
To do this every month. So, in conclusion, I want to thank everyone who's here today on the President's TV show, not President Rick MacLennan, but also Teresa Henderson from Staff Assembly and HR, Josh Gittel from the Business Office and the College Senate, the Joe Jacoby of the NIC Drama and Theater Department from Faculty Assembly, and not the least of which is Sean Collins, our President for the Associated Students of North Idaho College. Thanks to each of you. Appreciate you being here, and thanks for what you do. And we appreciate you at home for your support of the college, for our students, and for our programs here, and for all the work that you do to help North Idaho College be what it is, not only in the Coeur d'Alene community, but throughout the North Idaho region. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit our website at nic.edu. Until next time, have a good day.